Good evening, everybody. Hope you're all well. First in the house is Gemma. Hello, Gemma, Kim, Sue, Trisha, Carol. It's really good to have you. So we're going to be doing some rings tonight, and if you watched the last couple of weeks, then you will be familiar with the stitch we're going to use. But don't worry if you haven't. We're going to start everything from scratch anyway. Hello, Christine. I think I've said hello, Carol. Hello, Paula. Hi, Linda. So let's go on the overhead and show you some samples from previous tutorials which are now on YouTube, and also what we're going to be doing tonight as well. But if you could just let me know that you can see me and you can hear me. Okay. Right, these were our previous week's tutorials, is looking at embellishments on bead embroidery, but the part that we're taking a bit further is actually doing this brick stitch. We did the brick stitch in as a necklace, we added embellishments. This is one I did ages ago, one of my favourites with freshwater pearls. This is the element of the stitch that we're working with. You can actually embellish the rings with that little picot edging as well. You can see me and hear me. Fantastic. And hello, Sharon. Good to have you join. This is what we're going to be doing this week, is rings. This is one of my favourites, and I was so delighted when I spotted this embellishment with one of my suppliers. I've got silver ones on their way which should arrive any day. The gold have all sold out, and these, they're just absolutely gorgeous. They're quite bling, but I think they're good bling. And this is the brick stitch, and all we simply do is you find one of the holes either side and actually stitch it on afterwards. These are the other sorts of embellishments. This is if you want something a little bit daintier. Now this is using size 11s, these are using size 10s. They're all branded. These are Czech, these are Mayuki. And on this one I've got one of the Czech embellishments which has got the 4 holes at the back. I'm going to use this one, the amethyst one, as a sample tonight. I've also got the teardrops which I thought would look really lovely as an embellishment, and there's an even bigger one. I've only got one of those left, but they're just absolutely gorgeous. Love them. So let's get stuck straight in, shall we? Could you use a button? What a great suggestion. And yes, absolutely you could use a button. If I pop that there, so if anybody comes in a little bit late, you'll be able to see. Right, what you need is some specialist thread. I'm using Nymo. Let's get the positioning right. That's what we're going to use today. Let's pop those bits of sparkle up there, shall we? And you're going to need a size 10 beading needle, either size 10 or 11s. You could even use size 15s if you really like the small ones. Now the bigger the number, the smaller the size seed beads, and you want to work with a branded seed bead. So that's perhaps Mayuki, Toho, Czech. If you've never come across them before, it's just like going through your different department stores. It's just different brands that people have their preferences. I like working with them all, I've got to say. Now you're going to need probably about 1.5 meters of thread. I do hope you can see that thread okay. I am going to start off by using, oh, it says size 8, but they're not, they're size 10. Silver lined purple. When they say silver lined, it means exactly that. The inside is lined with a silver colour, which makes it reflect the light. I'm getting in a pickle already. And let's just zoom in a little bit more, just so that you can see what we're doing. Now, try and do this in daylight, especially if you've never done it before. Use the tip of your needle to pick up the seed beads. We start off with 4. For those of you that have worked with stopper beads before, I'm going to take that one off, it's a bit smaller. You might want to put a stopper bead on the end. And I'm grabbing those beads and I'm bringing them all the way to the end, but I'm going to leave about a hand's width of tail there. I like to wrap the tail around my little finger and then bring it across. It's up to you. It's like knitting and crochet. You do what's comfortable. These are the ones on the end. We're going to go back up those first 2. So what you're effectively doing is you're bending them in half, if you bend is such a word with a thread. And this is double brick stitch, so unlike the traditional, we're working with 2 beads at a time, not 1. And we're going to go back down. Ouch. Now the first row is always done as a ladder stitch, and then after that it becomes brick stitch. Don't get too worried, it's just the fact that the first row is done differently. I'm just reinforcing by going back round there so that they sit nice and tight together. That's where we're at so far. Can you see that that has created this little ladder at the top, or bridge? That's really crucial because that's what we're going to be stitching into. I'm going to pick up another 2 seed beads. Threads coming out of the bottom. We're going to come from the top down. So that bends in half. Threads coming out of here. Step up to the ones that you've just added. And then I'm going to reinforce to straighten them up by going back down again. So I guess effectively you're working in a square formation. Come back up those. We've got 3 double ladders. We're going to add 1 more. You can add more or less depending on how wide you want the ring to be. Thread coming out here, so we come up from the bottom and then we go back down, and we're going to reinforce just so that that sits nice, and back down again. There we go. Let's just pop that down so that you can see. We've created this ladder with 2 groups at a time, so you've got 8 beads in total. Now we are ready to start stitching. Effectively, what you've created is one of those. And can you see that for every row we do, they jut out in different directions? I thought you might like the 15s, Kim. I thought you might. I thought that'd be quite nice. Right, now getting a nice tension, and you can see that it's created 3 ladders, effectively 3 stitches. This ends the tail. This is my working thread. At the start of every row, you add 4 beads. 1, 2, got a few little funny shaped ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to come from the back towards me underneath that first ladder there. Pull that through and you want it to go in half, so you've got 2 sat by its side, 2 and 2. Then we're going to go under and up through that last group of 2. It's got a mind of its own. That's the first stitch. Can you see how it actually overlaps the one side? That is how it works on this double ladder stitch. There's also a ladder stitch where you do one at a time, but this is the one that's quicker that we're working on tonight. Add in 2, go under the next thread bar, until it sits nice and comfortably. Then we go underneath and up through those 2 beads. Make sure you don't go back through that ladder. And our last one in the row, add 2. We've got 1 ladder left. Go, so I'm working right to left, and then we just separate that slightly and go under and up through those 2 beads. That's our first 2 rows completed. Let's have a look at that. That was your first foundation row. That's your second row. Row 3 is exactly the same, so I'm wrapping that around my finger, popping it on my non-dominant hand. Right, so Emma's got 2 questions. She may have missed it. What size seeds can we use, and can I use a decorative button? Emma, I'm using size 10s or 11s. You can use any size you like. You can use size 15, size 8, size 6, but obviously you're going to get a different effect. And decorative button embellishments, absolutely, you can use those. Sounds perfect. The start of every row, again, is 4 beads. Now, I like to just tighten up that thread. You can switch it over if you want to, i.e. working that way if you prefer. It might be better, mightn't it? It might be easier for you to see. Go from back to front until when you pull it, you want 2 to sit either side. Nikki said she loves this stitch, one of the first stitches she learned. It's just so wonderful, isn't it? And it's so versatile. Now I'm going to be doing a few different variations of brick stitch over the next few weeks. I'm adding 2 again, going under and up. I will start speeding up in a moment, but I just want to make sure that you have a good old look at what's happening. Under the 3rd thread bar, 2 beads. If you're not sure, just push your beads out the way slightly and you go up through the one nearest you like that. Always give it a good pull to make sure it sits well and you've got a good tension. Oh. Paula says she'd be pleased to know that she's having a sherry while she watches. Now, Paula, that's brilliant. Do you know what? I haven't had my usual glass of Bacardi. I think I need one. I can't get my words strung for a few weeks now. Paula goes to our art group. In fact, Paula actually helps to run our lovely art group, and we were having a bit of a standing joke about having a tipple while we're watching. And it always seems to be fish and chip night on a Thursday as well. Anybody have fish and chips on a Thursday? Would it still work if you wanted a thinner band? Yes, I think it would. I'd have to... Yes, it would, because you'd still start with 4 and the second one would be 2 beads. It might be easier to go down to size 15s, but you could certainly do that. So you would start, Sue, with 6 at the beginning. Not 6 altogether, but 6 doubles. Oh, everybody's had chicken tonight. Chicken tonight. I haven't had chips tonight. We had steak pie tonight. Steak pie and a baked potato. Right, 4 at the start of every row. Go through the first one. I think I can speed up a bit now, can't I? Because you've all had a good old look through. But if you're not sure, let me know and I'll slow it down a little bit. It's amazing how quickly this comes together. Kim's having a steak and salad. Oh, that sounds nice. How do you like your steak, Kim? Are you mooing or very well done? I'm afraid I like mine char grilled. Sue's having a mushroom omelette. That sounds very good. I'm not sure if I went off piste off camera then. Apologies if I did. Mooing. Oh, you like the mooing. Very quick then, Kim. Quick blitz on the heat. Now, I have been loving the necklaces that Kim and Linda did following our brick stitch tutorial. If you haven't seen them, go and have a look. Honestly, they are beautiful. Kim has put her bee on one of them and encased a cabochon, and Linda did hers in sort of monochrome colours. And absolutely lovely. Oh, Kim, you did an orange one as well, didn't you? An orange and turquoise. Just beautiful. There we go. It's coming along nicely. I think I've made a mistake, because that's sticking out funny. Why is that sticking out? Well, we'll go with it for now. Oh, that's the way you like it. I'm sure it's not because you're lazy, Kim. Right, if it goes a bit slack at the start, just go back and give it a gentle pull. Under and up. I'm glad you're liking them. They're really pretty, aren't they? Right, 2 more for that row. Oh, right, that just clicked out because I obviously didn't go under the thread bar. Hi, Maxine. Right, 4 at the start. Now, as you can see, I always like to just trap the thread nice and tight at the start, because it tends to loosen up a bit and it makes the first start of the row a little bit more challenging. And 2. There's lots, I say there's lots of seed beads. There's lots of seed beads in my website, Now, if you want a good quick glance at what's available, then have a look in my website, beadsbyvachil.co.uk. You can always combine it with a Facebook order or pay manually if you want to, if you prefer not to order online. I have put some of the metallics in the thread tonight because I thought the metallics work quite well with this particular stitch. I've also, there's also some Mayuki galvanized silver in there. There's also silver lined as well. I thought the silver lined would be quite nice. And I've got some more Toho beads to go on as well. Right, I've only added one, not two. The tricky part can really come where you're trying to measure. I think I'm about halfway on that now, so I need to pick up a little bit of pace. 4 at the start again. I hope I'm not confusing people by working from left to right, so to speak, but like I say, if you prefer, you can just flip it over, work whichever way it suits you. It really doesn't matter. I have just finished designing a brick stitch owl, a pair of earrings, and over the next couple of weeks I do hope I get opportunity to put it out as a little kit, and instead of having the instructions, you will get the materials, but you'll have a tutorial with it as well. I so love doing it. And it's actually a single brick stitch as well, but we will be looking at single brick stitch soon. There's a few more beads. The good thing with these as well is that they don't take a lot of beads. If you've got some tubes of beads that you haven't got particularly a lot of, then why not use them for a ring? Can you see? I am getting that tight, that thread. Under the thread bar. And don't forget to use my YouTube tutorial as a reference, and in both the beaders group and this group, every Tuesday we're going to have a throwback tutorial where you can get benefit of seeing another tutorial that I've done before, and I will try to fit the materials in the group so that you can buy any bits and pieces you maybe don't have for those tutorials. But would love to know how many of you have done, I know Nikki said she's done brick stitch, Kim and Linda, but how many of you have actually done needle and thread work? Even if I know, just pop a comment in, because I think it's always good for other people to know in case they need to ask any questions. But let me know if you've done any brick stitch and how you found it. If you've got any hacks as well, if you've got any quick tips as well. Coming along nicely. Not too much left to do. adding 4 at the start of the row and then 2 after that. Paula hasn't tried brick stitch yet. Anybody tempted to afterwards? Sue, not yet. She's done ladder stitch before. And again, there's lots of variations of ladder stitch. But I always think, you know, don't worry too much about all the different names of it. It's how, whether or not you can actually do the stitch. Christine hasn't, but she's going to have a go. She loves it. Excellent. I always think as well, if you make a mistake, it doesn't matter. It's a little bit of thread and there's a few seed beads. And keep practicing. If it doesn't look right, undo it, start again. Think, this is my practice piece, and that takes the pressure off a little bit. Oops, I'm trying to use my mouse and I've actually taken my mouse out. So that's not really going to have a lot of impact, is it? Carol made a brick stitch ring with me, also a bookmark that I believe was brick stitch too. Right. Gosh, was that at Beaders that we used to do years ago, Carol? I vaguely remember that. Whoops. Nikki says if using more than one colour to either number them with a post-it note. Yeah, good idea. It's one of Kim's favourite stitches along with peyote. Both are so versatile. They really are. I'm just flicking my beads everywhere. Do you know, I can't multitask at all. As much as I'd like to. Paula would like to have a go as well. Brilliant. If you don't have the specialist thread straight away, but you've got needle and thread, just practice with that until you get used to it. But if you're going to be wearing it, you will need to invest in some of the specialist thread. Yes, you can letter them as well. That's right. Gosh, that was a long time ago, Carol. We used to have a beaders group in Swindon that I used to run. It felt like ages ago now. And just add in 4 beads. Going under the first thread bar. Sue is waiting for her delivery before she has a go, because you've got some of the embellishments, haven't you, Sue, in your latest order. Just a few more rows and I think we're there. And I've got to try and remember now how to finish off. Right, 4 more beads. Carol's saying back in the early 90s she used to do all the beadwork for the country, the county and West Indian dresses. How absolutely wonderful. Do you have any, do you still have any, Carol, that you could show us? That'd be so nice. Right. Now you've got two options here, I think. This is the only thing in actually doing the test piece the week before. I'm pretty sure, do you know what, we're going to go for the easiest option because we're embellishing, and the easiest option is to line those two up together, whereas if you wanted it to perhaps not have the embellishments, then you might want to pop them off kilter slightly so that they fall into sync. Do you see what I'm saying? Where one drops down. But for simplicity, we're just going to marry that up. Now we're coming out of this one, and then we're going across to this one, and we'll go through two. And we are going to go down this one and across to this one. Might be worth having a set of pliers just in case. I'm going to leave the thread loose for now, just so that you can see where I'm actually working. Oh, I'd love you to share that in our beaders group, Carol. She's still got some of the dress. Right, ready? Let's pull. Just go back across that one and just pull that in. It's possibly not the best colour to use for thread, but I need to have some contrast so that you can actually see what I'm doing. The embellishment I'm going to use on this one is the amethyst. If we turn it over, you can see it's got 4 holes, but we'll only need 2 for these. And I've got to try and remember how to do it, so bear with. I am going to come out from the bottom here. This is very much work it to fit what you've got, so you will need a little bit of improvisation, shall we say. Right, that has got stuck. Coming from the middle. Oops. Sew that on. I'm going to pick up some of the thread in the middle there, and then I am just going to reposition my needle and come back down again, because you don't want that hanging on one thread. I'm coming back out in the middle. Go down the centre. Be careful with your thread that they don't get stuck on those pins, these things here, because they're a bit of a nightmare. I'm just going to split my thread, pull that on there and go through. I'm going to cheat a little bit and tie those 2 ends together, as that'll count as one of my tie-offs, and then we're going to tie off the thread. So to tie off the thread, push your needle through a couple of the beads and go in between, so pick up a little bit of thread, but before you pull it tight, just go through it, go through a few more beads. Let's do that in 2 to 3 different places. And you can either use what's called a thread zapper, which is like a battery operated heat thing, or just your sharp scissors. I am going to thread this one and just tie my tail off. Nikki has a friend who lives in British Columbia, and last September she got invited to the Native Canadian powwow. She sent me some photos and the costumes are amazing. Again, please do share, because the beadwork on them will be just wonderful to see. Sue and Christine are definitely going to be making some rings. That's absolutely fab. Oh dear. That was not what I wanted to happen. Now, because I've got a bit of a bobble there, I'm going to see if I can pass it through a few beads to pull it through. I'm sure I need new glasses. That's my excuse. That's my excuse. And I'm sticking to it. There we go. Right, that would drive me slightly mad, I have to say. But I think that's pulled through. Right, there is our finished ring. Which feels so super lovely on. I think the amethyst goes really nicely with the actual amethyst sew on stone. Again, if you were using this one, I would use, you see there's a hole there, I would just stitch a hole on top. So to a degree you're going to have to play it by ear. Kim says the knot ring I made was 1 brick stitch. Oh, okay. I am just going to start off a little bit with some of the Mayuki beads, just to show you what the difference is. Thank you, Dee. I'm glad that you like that. My son, oh, where have you gone? My son tidied up when I was at hospital and I can't find my glasses. Oh no! Thank you, Paula. Glad you like it. The pretty hand painted beads look lovely on brick stitch ring. So there we go. That was the amethyst with amethyst seed beads, which are 120 for 10 grams, and I think you'd get quite a few out of those. I don't know how many, and these come in packs of 4 or 5, so these are really inexpensive. Let's bank that. Now this is the Czechoslovakian size 10 silver, which again I think is rather beautiful. These are the Mayuki silver. I don't think we need to do the whole thing again, but I want to just show you, and we can also recap as well, can't we, on how to start. Also, if you're selling these, do make sure you tell people not to wash their hands wearing them, because it's going to weaken the thread. Not a good idea. Even if you put notes on there, they'll still do it. But at least you know you've told them. There we go. Right. I love these. These are called galvanised. size 11s are just slightly smaller, and we bring it all the way down to the bottom, and as I said before, about a hand's width of tail, wrap it round your little pinky and go up through the first two. Down. I'm going to go back up that one as well. You can either reinforce the whole line once you've made it, or you could do it as you go, whichever works for you. But you will need to do that so that they sit nicely together. Should we try 3? Should we try 3 doubles and see how that comes out? Ooh. Do you know what? I don't know if you could hear that, but it did sound like the red arrows, which would not surprise me because we will have RAF Fairford nearby soon. Kim's just saying that it's easy once you get the hang of it. Rachel's tutorials are fab and make things so easy the way she explains. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Really do. I just like to take that fear factor out so that it appeals to everybody to try different things. We start with 4, go under the first thread bar. One. I haven't managed to add 3 on there. Lack of concentration. If you want to do them super quick, that's what you could do. Just do a thinner band. That's working with 9 beads at the start, not all at once. 4 at the start, under the thread bar. And 2 on the second. It looks a bit wonky donkey to begin with, doesn't it? I think you have to do a couple of rows before it looks like anything pretty. I'm going to try something else in a second. We're going to do a slightly, just a few more bits. What I'm trying to say is I'll do a few more rows. That makes more sense. And I wonder whether or not we can see if we can add a picot stitch. One, 2, we're still okay for time, aren't we? But let me know how you're finding these needle and thread work tutorials. Are you happy to do more on a variation? Does this suit you, or is it not your thing? I think beadwork and bead embroidery are probably my favourite overall. But I do like to mix them up a bit. Does anybody else like that? I don't like doing the same things over and over, which is good in a way for when you're teaching, because I don't think people want to see the same things over and over. You like to see a variation. It's good to do a variation on a theme, if that makes sense. So to learn different, like for example with this, learning different brick stitches or different things that you can do with brick stitch. That's right, Sue, this is just 3 beads this time. So Nikki's saying she's loving it, brilliant. And Kim, it's one of her favourites as well. I'm saying it's one of your favourites. I'm presuming from your comment. Oh, focus, Rachel. No, Sue, you're absolutely right. It's 3 doubles, 3 sets of doubles. That is your Mayuki, and that is your check. Not a great deal of difference between the two. Slightly smaller. What I was going to do is, now I've got to try and work out how to get my needle. How do I get my needle? I know where I want my needle, but I can't figure out while I'm on camera how to get it where I want it. Now I can. That's where I want to be. What I'm going to see is, if you look at this, you see the picot edging on there. It's really just, how many beads have I got? Oh, I've got 5 on there. Have I got, no I haven't, I've got 3. Let's see how it works. Let's add 3, then go through the next double. Not sure. Let's try it again. 1, 2, 3. Let's try 5. Just looking at the different options, really. You've got to have odds. That's a 3. That's cute, little crown. Let's go round. It's food for thought, is adding an embellishment. I'm not sure if that's a bit long and those are a bit rounded. Whoops, I need to try and manoeuvre around it now. There is another way we can do it as well. Right, there we go, nearly there. Right, I'm going to try another way. I need some more beads. Another way is add 2, separate the middle one, no, add 3, get that right, add 3, separate the third one, go through the second and add 1. I've got really shaky hands tonight. Now I like that. I'll show you that again. Add 3, separate the last one, go through the next one down, add 1, then go through the next group of 2. That's kind of cute. I'm liking that. 1, 2, 3. Down the second, add 1 and go through the next 2. There you go. That is food for thought, and you can use that for a bracelet as well. I think for me, my preference would either be this one here, and I think I would possibly go back round and just stitch across those two so that the end one sticks out. There you go. Let's just show you what we've got. That one, that one, that one. There you go. Don't forget there's lots of different embellishments. You can use your buttons as well. Also those little 4mm glass embellishments we used for last week, which were like this. You could use a cluster of those. Let's just go on the main one and have a quick look at your comments. I saw that Kim had an accident. Maybe 5 sides on a small on the edge. Yes, I think you've got to play around with what works for you. Let me just read Kim's comment. Kim had an emergency. I told him I was on my way round. I couldn't get into my E6000 as I hadn't put Vaseline around the top. Oh, Kim. He knows I'm crazy, so nothing surprises him. But I hope you like it, and you're very welcome. I'm so pleased you enjoyed. Please do post on Beaders and Beads by the Chill, and congratulations to this month's winners. Now I've got to try and get this right. So we've got Carol Clark, I think she's with us now, for her crochet, absolutely beautiful crochet. Judy's knotted necklace, gorgeous again, and Mandy McGee for her bee. So, and we've also got our team awards as well. Team award went to Linda for her embellished necklace. And there you go. You all take care, and I'll speak to you very soon. Bye.